Get it in before you go. Nope.
We have to keep the post NFL draft tradition alive, DJ. So I told you before we started here to load up the results from the NFL draft, and
I already know who it is.
Yeah, specifically the second round. I need you to correctly pronounce who went number 41 overall to the Detroit Lions.
I just tried to say it too. It was the one that was the first one that popped up. So it's Levi. I just fucked it up already. On Wuzurike.
Let's get loaded, because this is the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finish first because we finish last.
DJ, we're going to break down the NFL draft here, but I want to know what's the over-under on number of episodes it's going to take you, because we're going to do that same exact intro.
That wasn't right?
No, that was not right. You weren't even close.
How was that not even close? That was incredible.
Here's the deal. We're going to, just like last year when I had you pronounce Noah Igbenogany, we're going to do that every single episode until you get it right. So
if that's not right, I don't want to be wrong.
Well, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say it correct. Well done. I'm going to say it correctly one time here so that you can play it over and over and over again. And then we'll see how many episodes it takes you. Levi Onwuzurike. Would you like to say that again just so that you can say it out loud?
He skips like 14 letters in the middle.
It's up to you.
It's like Brett Favre. How does the W get before the N when it's after?
Well, I'm not saying it again, so it's up to you. Do you want to say it while it's fresh, or are you going to wait till next week?
Oh, I got it. That's easy.
Well, like I said, we are going to recap the 2021 NFL draft in this episode. Been looking forward to this one. I love this episode because, man, DJ, you know, man, as a Dolphins fan, this is my Super Bowl. I win in April and May. You as a Packers fan, you like to do your winning in like December, January. We know you ain't going to make it to February with the way Rodgers is. But do you want to, maybe let's start with just kind of like the roller coaster of emotions that you went through Thursday leading up to the draft as a Packers fan.
I suppose I was on the Beerfield stream, so that wasn't a podcast. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. We're fine. It's not a big deal. It's fine. We're fine. He'll be back. It's all a bunch of, I think it's just a big like standoff. Like, hey, who's going to blink first? I already think the Packers have backed down. I think Rodgers feels good about it. I think Gutekunst is groveling. He's out there flying to Rodgers. He's crying. Like LaFleur, I thought was going to kill himself in his interview the other day. Like, I can't even imagine not having Aaron Rodgers. He's right, though. And what ultimately it comes down to, if Aaron Rodgers really does want Gutekunst fired, then fire the fucking guy. Like, this isn't hard. Like, it's not. People are like, Aaron Rodgers has no right to come for Brian Gutekunst's job. I'm sorry. Did Brian Gutekunst just draft Jordan Love to replace Aaron Rodgers? Because it's just an eye for. If somebody gets after my job, I'm going to come after theirs. That's what's happening. So anybody who thinks that going after Gutekunst's job is out of line is fucking ridiculous, because Gutekunst is doing that to Aaron Rodgers right fucking now. And LaFleur is in there trying to save the whole relationship.
I love it. It's funny because like in our football relationship, I'm usually the one that's in crisis breakdown mode. To see you just go on this roller coaster doing flips and loops and hurdles and throwing up inside your mouth and re-catching it throughout the entire day on Thursday and seeing how it goes. And then we made a bet. We have a $100 bet that you basically get Aaron Rodgers, week 1 starter, Green Bay Packers, and I get the other options. So I'm just along for the ride. Like, I'm the dude kind of controlling the roller coaster, and I'm watching you just go up and down.
It sucks because the emotions, probably for like content purpose, are way better to catch as I'm in the middle of it, like those first 2 hours. Because I don't think I've been so active on Twitter like and I'm decently not super active on Twitter, but like there's no day I've been more active on Twitter than I was that day at work, not working for 2 straight hours, going through all these range of emotions. And so
looking for your phone charger.
Right. I was. After that went through it, and then I got on the stream, it was just hard to like relive it within the moment, because I just, you're reading things as they come in, and I'm tweeting at 900 different people like, fuck you, duck you. Like, I don't even know what I'm saying at a certain point.
Well, I'm looking forward to monitoring that, but let's get into what we came here to do. NFL draft recap, reactions. First two picks were, I think, fairly obvious to pretty much everyone. And you stuck to your guns, DJ. Trey Lance. You just basically said it wasn't going to be Mac Jones.
Yeah, I was very
on the
confident
Mac Jones trade. But man, do you like that fit? Because I personally love Trey Lance going to San Francisco.
I'm not sure if I like the fit. I feel like
the deal. Let me interrupt for a second because I honestly was going to
got to say these fucking words.
I was going to say, yeah, you take a back seat. Let me tell.
Yeah, no shit.
Let me preface it. I think I was going to be happy with anyone that landed in San Francisco because I think that's like a gold mine right now. Like they're already going to be able to run the ball regardless of who's there. Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, like they're loaded with playmakers. So that quarterback is set up for success. Now I'll give you the floor.
So I don't know if I necessarily love the fit because I feel like it's not a place where they're going to, and maybe they will for Shanahan, but it doesn't feel like they're going to like run an offense where it's like a read type of read like option type of offense,
running.
Right? Yeah. Where you've got your Lamar Jackson, you've got Cam Newton, you've got I don't know, you've got a couple other guys who run those read option type things. They're mostly going to run play action, jet sweep, whatever. They're going to play action a ton. Like that's what they do. They have two backs of the backfield, play action, and run the same type of motion and run 6 different plays out of that, just like the Packers do. So I thought he would fit somewhere that would be willing to do that. Like I think Denver would have been willing to do that with him. Like they just would have done what they wanted. But San Francisco has a certain style of offense and that's what they're going to run. And they're not going to really change out of it. I'm sure they'll add those elements. Like there's going to be QB fucking keepers or whatever, the option to throw a run out of it. But he's probably going to be successful as long as Shanahan's there and he's got that rushing upside, which I'm sure he's going to end up loving. I wish Justin Fields. I really think Justin Fields would have been a fucking monster there. And that's why I didn't back off that because as everybody said the day of, okay, we actually don't know who's going to San Francisco. Like beforehand, they're like, yeah, just kidding. We actually have no idea what's happening in San Francisco. We've just been throwing shit out there. Like Shanahan lied to his best friend.
That's what you
Chris
do.
Sims. He lied to Chris Sims, and Chris Sims is like depressed that he didn't take Mac Jones after telling him he was going to.
It's lion season, baby.
Yeah.
I know it's super early. I mean, we're recording this on May 3rd. Let's bounce into the future. Do you think week 1 started, or do you think Garoppolo's still there? Yeah. What are you putting it on? I'm not like super hung up on this. We don't need to spend a lot of time, but day 1 starter, are they going to roll with Lance, or do you think Garoppolo's going to hang?
I don't know. I just feel like they're not in a rebuild type of situation. So they have the ability like, hey, we don't really like him that much or we don't really like Garoppolo, but we don't want to throw Trey Lance out there because he's still very raw. He had to sit out a year.
Career starts.
Yeah, he had to sit out a whole year. So it's a situation where I think you do start and probably go the whole season because they're probably, when everybody's healthy, a playoff football team. So I don't think he plays unless Garoppolo just really, and he's not good, but he's good enough. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl.
He's been there. Exactly.
Yeah. So he's better than all the other fucking quarterbacks they had last year, unfortunately. And I think Garoppolo stinks.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think he's going to start. Not unless he does. I mean, unless he starts off bad. Usually don't move up that guy to not play him. But with Trey Lance, I think that you do.
Yeah. I mean, if Garoppolo's still on the team, if they don't move him, I think Garoppolo's your guy week 1. Obviously, if they move him, I don't see anyone else being the guy other than Trey Lance. So I don't have much more to add there. Let's move on to some of the wide receivers. I know especially like fantasy players just anxious to see where some of these guys landed because it was such a good class for wide receivers. I'll let you pick if you want to talk about real life, fantasy, or both. But who do you think have the worst landing spot? Devonta Smith going to the Philadelphia Eagles or Rashad Bateman going where me and you were just like, Jesus, don't go to Baltimore. Don't go to Baltimore. Where Rashad Bateman went to Baltimore. Yeah,
so I originally I talked myself into like 100% Rashad Bateman, but then I started thinking well, I hate Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is the worst quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And so I'm like, well, I guess it's going to be Devonta Smith. But then I thought even further in depth, well, Jalen Hurts is going to play quarterback for a less amount of time than Lamar Jackson. And Lamar's going to stay there for longer. So I think Devonta has a chance to get a better quarterback, a better passing quarterback, honestly, over the future dynasty long term if
Yep.
you're looking fantasy football. And I'm
Right.
back on the Devonta Smith side because I think he's going to get a better quarterback sooner because I think the Eagles are going to stink and end up having like a top pick and getting a Sam Howell next year and like, you know, moving on. I'm
Man.
giving the lean to Devonta Smith. Sorry.
It's not even, I didn't even have that in the notes. You took
No.
that like we were on the same wavelength because I was going to say the same thing. Like, honestly, Lamar Jackson, yes, is a better passer than Jalen Hurts. However, I don't think Lamar Jackson's going anywhere anytime soon. They picked up the 5th-year option and they're going to work on a long-term deal. Like, they've been too good and they've made it too far to not just keep plugging away with what they have as this team that can just run the shit out of the ball and let Lamar Jackson throw if he absolutely needs to. Whereas I'm with you. Like, Jalen Hurts, maybe you'll get a flash here and there. I wouldn't expect much out of anyone really in that offense in year one. But, man, if they stink, there's no, like, saying that, yeah, Hurts could be a one and done. And I'm drawing a blank. I'm upset at myself for who they brought in. They said it was going to be an open competition this year already in training camp. And I'm drawing a complete blank on who they brought in. But regardless, like, there's a chance that Jalen Hurts doesn't even finish this season, let alone making it into 22 as the starter. So, yeah, long-term, I'm with you. I think Devonta Smith not only ends up in a better situation, but I think he's a more talented receiver. Like, you could make the argument that he's the best receiver in this draft. There's not too many people saying that Rashad Bateman was the best receiver in this draft. No. So I think he has that ability to overcome. He can play inside. He can play outside. He just does everything so well. And Bateman does too, but Smith does it a little bit better, in my opinion. So I'm with you on that one as well. Did you end up finding out who that quarterback is that I was
to find out
about?
In like 3, 2, 1.
Love that.
Shit, where'd he go? Joe Flacco.
Oh, I take it back. Okay. Yeah, but Flacco was apparently supposed to be in a quarterback competition, but that's also
trash.
That's also coach talk just to get your people to try to do the best. We talked a little bit earlier, obviously, about Justin Fields. You think he should have went number 3 overall? I can't argue that too much. DJ, obviously we saw the Bears trade up. They needed to make a run at quarterback. They told Andy Dalton he was their QB1. That lasted for a couple of months. Maybe. We'll see. The Bears have sorely missed. Yeah. They needed a guy at quarterback. Like, look at like the last couple of decades. I mean, look at the guys that stood out. Jay Cutler, Rex Grossman, Mitch Trubisky for a second. Well, I'm just saying, relatively speaking, to the guys they had, like, those are the names that you remember. Is Justin Fields finally the guy that they're going to have for like 7 years and be able to build around?
You'd like to think so, right? Like, I don't think so, but I've watched the Chicago Bears. Like, they are just a quarterback sucker. Like, they take the life out of the quarterback that they bring in here. So I'm convinced that they bring in Patrick Mahomes. If they drafted him, Patrick Mahomes would be trash right now. Like,
Trubisky would be making all these sidearm passes for Kansas City.
It was the right move. They had to do it. Like, I think if they had the opportunity to get there, I don't care what you give up to get them. If you give up too much, you have to. But right now, Matt Nagy's trying to save his job. Justin Fields, most evaluators, I feel like, had him as their second quarterback on their rankings, and probably just number 2 overall. And the Bears had to be ecstatic. Like, fuck, he's at 11. We had to go up and get him. So yeah, no, I think he's good. I think he fits what the offense or what offenses are doing. He's mobile, but that's not what he just does. He just has the ability to run, which you need right now, and you can add into the offense. But he's a really good thrower of the football. So great pick for the Bears, unfortunately.
What I like about it too is, like, they gave up some, obviously, to move up. I think it was from 19 or 20 up to 10, I believe, or 10 or 11. 11, I believe. Yeah. One of the best things about that pick is them getting to number 39, which was the 7th pick in the second round, getting Tevin Jenkins. A lot of draft evaluators thought that guy was going to go in the 20s, if not late teens. So you're getting one of the best offensive linemen. You're getting one of the best quarterbacks. And you didn't have to give up a ton to get him. You've got Allen Robinson right now on the franchise tag. This has to be somewhat appealing to him. And I didn't think that there was a chance that they were going to be able to sign him long-term after this. I give him a chance now. So you got Darnell Mooney, you got David Montgomery, who was in the top, I think,
Yeah, he's
5 or
out.
7 in rushing yards last year. You've got a little something going. And I sort of think this is a situation, and it's probably my bias and what I know the most. But think about Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua last year. You roll with Fitzpatrick, and in this case, you roll with Andy Dalton. And at a certain point in time, when you think Justin Fields is ready, regardless of your record, if you think he's ready, you throw him in. Because that's what Andy Dalton is right now. Andy Dalton's a kind of like a younger version of your bridge quarterback of what Ryan Fitzpatrick was. So you let Justin Fields cook a little bit, and not totally slow cook. You don't have to sit him the whole year or anything more than that. But at some point during the year, when you think he's ready, you plug him in. You see what you got. You get him all friendly with Allen Robinson. You sign him into a long-term deal. I hate to say it because I agree with you. Like, Chicago just feels like this pitfall. Whoever goes there is just going to end up failing because that's what we know throughout our like, that's just kind of how it's been. But man, at some point, someone's got to turn it around, and this is the guy that gives them that opportunity. So you got to be hopeful.
Well, you're talking about Andy Dalton and who's going to start. To me, Justin Fields starts day one. I don't think there's any question. I think it's competition, blah blah blah. But I know this. I know you. We know what's going on in that ownership. What's going on with Ryan Pace? What's going on with Matt Nagy? Like, if they don't win this year, they're done. So you have to. You're not going to win with Andy Dalton. You just aren't. So you have to go, and you got to take the risk, and you got to start. You have to start Justin Fields day one. So I'm madly convinced. Like, I would be honestly shocked if he isn't starting day one.
I didn't think about that angle.
Training camp is everything too. So he gets that. Finally gets that. After a year off of no training camp where rookies. Justin Jefferson barely played right away for the first 2-3 games. Like, that was his training camp right away, and then boom, he busted out. They got that this year, everybody. Yep. So Justin Fields has that opportunity to learn the offense, get used to guys. I think he's starting.
And 3 games of preseason. Yeah, that's a great angle to look at it. That'll be a fun one to monitor. DJ, when I crafted this next topic that we're going to discuss, I threw up a little bit and had to catch it in my mouth because I can't believe that I had to say this.
I love this.
But with the Giants, with the moves that they've made, look at that offense right now. Saquon's going to be back. They bring in Kenny Golladay to a huge contract. They still got Shepard. They still got Slayton. They still got brick hands Evan Ingram. And then they draft Kadarius Toney after falling back to number 20. Is this offense for real? Because honestly, don't make that face at me too. For you people that are only audio only, he's making the what do they call that? The gas face? I think that's what they call that. Dude, they're doing what I want every team with a young quarterback to do, and that is surround your young quarterback, especially in year 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Make him prove he's the guy. If he can't win with these guys, he's not the guy. You move on. So I'm a little bit weirdly excited for this Giants offense, and I feel like you're going to just shit on it.
Yeah. Oh, it's not that hard to. Daniel Jones is their quarterback still, is he not? Is Daniel Jones the quarterback?
I mean, yeah, he's there.
Is he the quarterback?
That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah, so he's the quarterback. He's very stinky. He does a lot of receptions. He's not good. I don't like Kadarius Toney. To me, that doesn't add anything. And they'll find a way not to use him correctly. So, like, I'm not too worried about him at all. I don't think he adds much. Obviously, you talked about Evan Ingram and his struggles. Sterling, I mean, Darius Slayton isn't like a top wide receiver. He doesn't do much for me either. Obviously, Kenny Golladay is the man. I really think you still just have to take him away, and you're not still worried about the rest of the guys because Daniel Jones stink. And obviously Saquon's going to get his, but I think Daniel Jones is just really bad. I really do. So yeah, they have all these exciting weapons, but we've seen teams like, the Cowboys can't win games. Like, to me, it doesn't. Obviously, the Giants have a way better defense at this point than like the Cowboys have had over the last few years when they've had this dynamic offense or whatever. Yeah. But Daniel Jones. If you're not good at quarterback, it's hard to win football games.
Here's the deal, though, too. You kind of alluded to this for a second. Let's consider the division that they're in. Washington is going to have a really good defense. They'll probably struggle there. Eagles defense, kind of a hot mess. The Cowboys defense, it has to improve because it can't get much worse, and they dedicated a lot of top draft picks to the defensive side of the ball, taking Micah Parsons. I think they took the linebacker out of LSU as well. I can't remember for sure now. But the Giants and Washington, I think is who this division is going to come down to. But I also want to ask you this. because I think this is kind of funny. Everyone was giving David Gettleman crap before the draft, saying like, "Oh, are you going to trade back?" And he was saying, "Oh, it's a myth that I don't trade back." However, there was like 7 years of evidence that he's never traded back from that first round pick or whatever picks it was. Do you think he did that this year just to get that monkey off his back?
Absolutely. I think it was like, oh yeah, watch me not trade back. Like, or watch me fucking make a trade. Like, you don't think I will? Well, let me trade back and then like reach for a wide receiver that probably could have gotten the second round.
You know what I do like though? So I bring in Tony, obviously, because we're talking NFL draft. And I think 20 is a little bit high, but honestly, we talk landing spots. I kind of like this landing spot because you're not saying like, hey, dude, jump in as our wide receiver 1 or 2. Kind of like if you'd go to Detroit, right, I'd be like, fuck, get that guy off my radar. But in New York, he can kind of blend in right away.
I just don't think he has a role right. I don't think he has a role for a while. Like, I don't know.
Here's your role. Let him be the gadget guy. Let him be the slot guy every once in a while, like every third possession, whatever. Find ways to get him the ball and then just let him crawl before he walks in the NFL. Like, it'll be fine.
I mean, that role doesn't do much for me if you don't have like the team and coach to do it. Like, I just don't believe in what the product on the field. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can have these guys that are fun, but if you can't use them correctly or don't know what to do with them or are obvious about these things, then if you bring him across the line of scrimmage one time a game, I've seen teams do this and then clearly are going to hand it off to him. Like, right, teams eat that up. They're like, oh, I know exactly where this ball is going. Like, there's times that teams just do that. So I've seen it.
Yeah.
Whereas like NFL teams, there's just bad coaches out there. And you know what they're going to do. And it's, you know, it seems exciting right now for probably some Giants fans, but I think it's going to end up in misery like it always does. It just does.
Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of football. I wouldn't say that I indulge in a ton of Giants games, but I do agree. Like, not everyone can just jump in and be the Kansas City Chiefs on offense, right, and be ultra creative and scheme ways to get people open and do a lot of pre-snap motions and everything. People can try to do it, but like, you watch a team like the Chiefs do it, and it's freaking art. You watch some teams to do it, and they'll botch the snap. Like the snap won't even be good, and it'll just be
so much timing, which involves so much good coaching. And if the timing's off a little bit, then it's nothing's right. It's tough.
It's weird to say, but man, I don't know that I've ever been in my life been this excited to watch the Giants offense. But I've got like Galladay and Barkley in fantasy.
I love Barkley's going to be. Barkley's going to be good no matter what. Like, as long as he's healthy, he's going to play well no matter what. But it's like, I don't know. Is their offensive line great? There's still issues, I feel like, out there offensively. And I still don't like Blake Martinez. I know everybody's obsessed with this defense and how good they are. But Blake Martinez is going to let you down eventually. Like, I promise you that.
Way to single him out. We talk about their offense the whole time and you just poop on Blake Martinez.
I Blake Martinez. I hate him.
We're going to talk about some running backs next, but before we do that, let's jump into what's been my favorite part of the podcast over the last few episodes. DJ.
All right. Support for the Loaded Box podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million with an M, men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for any listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code LOADED at manscaped.com. So get this, Manscaped hooked us up, me and Ben, hooked us up with a bunch of tools, formulations from their perfect package. I gotta.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you in a second.
That's how that thing was made, right there.
Right, exactly.
You were escaped. For you audio only people, DJ's kid just popped in the background. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So for their perfect package 3.0, they've got the lawnmower 3.0. Honestly, my favorite thing in the whole world. I just listen to that noise. That's ASMR, like, to the T. We've got their crop preserver. It got the ball. I mean, they sent us all this, right? So I do this thing to my wife every now and then, Ben. I don't know if you've ever done this. I'm kind of like, I'm weird like this. I like to every once in a while sneak up on my woman and secretly put my balls on her. Just on her shoulder or on her face or something, like on the forehead, like if it's just the right timing. because it was usually a punishment. It's a little punishment because it's smelly and icky and gross. Now when I do it, it's like it's a treat for her now at this point. Like it's she's like, oh, that smells good. So it's not even fun to do anymore. So between the spritzer they have and the deodorant, it smells great. So it's not disgusting anymore.
Dude, she probably thought it was a skinned cat just sitting on her shoulder, just like started petting it and everything. I do find it unbelievably comedically perfect right now that you have to talk about your balls and Manscaped while your kid is right there on your shoulder. Basically, your kid right now, it's almost like you are your wife and your kid's your balls. Like he's just on your shoulder.
It's just ridiculous. Exactly. And it's ridiculous. But this is true. This is all true. I don't know if you guys have been putting balls on your lady. You should try that. It's fun every now and then, but it's not as fun anymore now that I'm using my Manscaped deodorant. So
she enjoys it too much.
She enjoys it way too much. And, between trying to make a second kid, she just gets all excited. Like, here we go. It's game on at this point. Manscaped has created the best ball hair trimmer. As I showed you, the Lawnmower 3.0. So third generation. I mean, I told you, I talked about this last time. It was legitimately like a lawnmower. You just go down there and you get after it. You don't have to worry about cutting anything. In addition, the trimmer comes with an LED light, and it's dark down there, especially in the shower, and you don't have a light above you. You need that light. It's waterproof, so you can keep the shower going while you're shaving. You don't have to worry about getting electrocuted in the shower. So that's always an added plus.
Right.
The lawnmower comes inside. This Lawnmower 3.0 comes inside their brand new Perfect package. It also comes with, like I said, the crop preserver ball deodorant. It's great. It's awesome. I put this on every morning. I can't stop using it. You already use deodorant on your armpits. Why not use it on your balls? Keep those. That's the sweatiest, smelliest area. And then you know what? If it's been 4 hours, you've been running around, working your butt off, you're sweating. Use the Crop Reviver ball toner. Just a couple little spritzes down there. And then re-up. You just a little re-up for yourself. When you haven't had a couple of drinks, you give yourself a re-up. You're re-upping with the ball toner down there. So it's great. I don't know. That's all. I'm kind of failing on this one. They also threw in a couple of free gifts for us. A pair of boxers briefs. Introduced Ben to the boxer brief world. I'm so happy for him. I wanted to feel it. Keeps your junks feeling fresh all day. I like to wear it in sports because it keeps it nice and tight in there. They said this a shed bag. It was great. I love this travel bag because mine was getting old. It was getting worn out. All of that good stuff. So it was nice to have a replacement to put all my goodies in. So when I travel, I'm going to South Carolina. I'm going to have a new travel bag that they gave to me. It's going to be great. Trim that junk of yours. Get 20% off plus free shipping. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LOADED at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code LOADED. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thank you.
There was that. I think that might have been that skinned cat at the end.
Hold on, I'm serious. He doesn't know that we're actually live on things. I'm gonna have to mute this for a second. You take over.
That's totally fine. DJ, you did a great job. You had a skinned cat on your shoulder. Now you know how your wife feels when you do the old skinned cat. I'm pretty excited now to use that as an actual move. I think we need to call Urban Dictionary and be like, hey, we've got one for you. This one's called doing the skinned cat. So I think we can probably make that a real thing. So with that being said, let's jump back into some NFL draft recap. DJ, you powered through that.
It's so hard to concentrate. I lost where I was in the middle of the read. This kid's all over the place. I was about to lose my mind.
But you know what? You were probably a little bit sweaty, but guess what wasn't sweaty or stinky?
Yeah, it's my balls. Actually, I'm going to use some of this right now because I was sweating up pretty good.
Just a spritzer too.
Oh, there it is. I did it. I used it. That was I needed it.
On-air usage, baby. See, it's good whenever you need to.
Oh, that smells so good. It's unbelievable.
Love it. Well, let's get back into those running backs that I was teasing earlier. Once again, you can talk real life, you can talk fantasy, you can talk both. Let's focus on the big three running backs here. What was your favorite landing spot between Najee Harris going to the Steelers, Travis Etienne going to the Jags, or your boy Javonte Williams going to the Broncos?
I'll say this. My least favorite landing spot was Etienne. Ending up at the Jaguars. Obviously, Urban Meyer's so weird. I already don't trust him with those decisions. That's just not a smart pick. You already have a running back You have so many other things defensively, like offensive line. You just have so many other. A wide receiver. You absolutely need a wide receiver. I still think in this offense, like to add with Trevor Lawrence. So I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't understand the pick. James Robinson's still going to be massively involved. He's going to be scoring touchdowns. ETN, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not a big fan of that landing spot because it's like 3 to 4 years before he may take over if he does. Like that of all the spots was my least favorite landing spot. Everybody likes Najee Harris to Pittsburgh, but that offensive line's really bad. And I know they added a couple pieces, but they're bad. Ben's bad. We saw what that team actually was. And I don't know if they've improved. I really don't know if they've improved. You don't improve by just adding a running back. Like you have to add so much around it.
Right.
Again, Denver has been struggling with the run, but I'm very biased towards Javonte Williams because I think he has the ability to do everything. Now I know Melvin Gordon's there, but to me, Melvin Gordon, we saw he's done. It seems broke down. He's a shell of himself of what we've seen. He's not a threat to me. To me, Javonte Williams goes in there. He's the immediate guy. They need a quarterback real bad, but he does everything I love. I hope Aaron Rodgers isn't that quarterback. But could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers ended up there, how high Javonte Williams' stock would shoot through the fucking roof? It would be ridiculous. Not happening because I don't want to put that evil on me. But I love Javonte. I love his fit no matter where he goes, as long as it wasn't too much of a threat. I didn't want him in a deep backfield. Philip Lindsay's gone. I'm not worried about Melvin Gordon. We saw what he is. This is Javonte Williams' offense. They're going to lean on him because Drew Lock can't throw.
So is your answer Javonte?
Javonte Williams is the answer.
See, I like that as well. If you look at when contracts expire, this is the last year on Melvin Gordon's deal. After trading up into the high part of the second round, I don't think after this year you re-sign a guy like Melvin Gordon. I think that's going to be too expensive. I think you legit hand the keys to Javonte Williams. You probably bring in another veteran or you draft someone later next year. But regardless, that's going to be Javonte's backfield, and they've got a pretty good offensive line. And I know there's a question mark at quarterback, but that is an up-and-coming offense. I love that landing spot. It's not sexy year one, especially in like a redraft fantasy league. But, man, I like that landing spot.
I actually disagree with that. The running backs are some of the like one position if you're really good and they give you the ball, you can come in and dominate in year one. True. And I think he's one of those guys. I really do think he's that talented. My eyes, which I've been historically good at, tells me he is the most talented running back in this draft. And I'm going to go off that and I'm going to ride that into the sunset.
I could just see them like wearing the wheels off Melvin Gordon though too.
Right, preserving him a little bit.
Yeah, just see how that works out.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said about Travis Etienne to an extent. Urban Meyer is going to put his freaking hand stamp or whatever you want to say on that offense.
Etienne and he wanted Kadarius Toney so badly. Like,
yeah,
it weirds me out that he just wants like guys like I want either my guys that went to Florida that I know of them, or let's give Trevor Lawrence. Like that's not a way. This isn't college football. You can't recruit, and it's already seems like he's trying to be like, oh, I can recruit. Oh, I didn't get Kadarius Toney. Like this is the NFL, dude. Like fucking go have a heart attack somewhere.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't hate the landing spot as much as you. I think he'll factor in as early as year one, maybe take over at some point, but very, very questionable for round one when you have James Robinson, who I believe set the rookie record as a running back for like most total yards in his first season. And he was undrafted and he's getting paid fucking Cheez-Its. Shout out to Mikey.
Right. He is. And he's a great pass catcher. Like he was excellent in the pass game.
So that's a little questionable. I agree with you on Najee too. Like Steelers, sign me up. I'm still taking him 101 in dynasty leagues. I know the offensive line sucks. What upsets me is if you take Najee Harris, I think he was like 24 overall, you got to come back in the second round with that offensive line, especially the way some of the guys fell. They picked at number 55. And Creed Humphrey was on the board, and they just lost Pouncey to retirement. I'm like, Jesus, shoo-in. What a great fit. They passed on him and took Freiermuth, the tight end, which I don't mind because if you look at their depth chart, it's Eric Ebron and a bunch of young dudes. So at this point, it's Eric Ebron, and you brought in Freiermuth, who, if he pans out, great, but he's still not even like he's not even like a high ceiling tight end. Like he's a guy that can be consistent, but I don't think you're going to be getting a game breaker. Whereas if you put Creed Humphrey in there, you have your center for the next 8 years. Like if it pans out, that's your guy. That's your new Marquise Pouncey at that point. So I'm questioning that. I like them all, but I'm with you, man. That Javonte Williams right away. I text you when the Dolphins were next up and said, "Oh my God, the Dolphins are going to have a chance at Javonte here because the Broncos just traded up. They're not taking a running back."
Right.
I text you back. Well, there went that because it kind of shocked me. But after thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that landing spot,
dude. And what doesn't make sense to me? They went what 3 and 4 with offensive linemen, which is, I don't know, it seems too late if you're trying to rebuild that area.
Yeah.
And what are they doing with Ben Roethlisberger? Like, they didn't. Did they even consider a quarterback? I just don't. He's done. He's done.
They're going to try to win now, but it's just.
He's done though. Like Roethlisberger is bad. He's done. His career's over. Yet they're trying to play him still, and Mason Rudolph is a potential plan. Like what? We've already seen what Mason Rudolph is. This is honestly, to me, this is like a 6-win team. I really think they're going to end up last in the division.
It's going to be interesting because, man, I've thought for the last couple of years, man, you need to find a successor to Ben Roethlisberger, and they've completely ignored it. And now I think next year they're going to be handcuffed to having to do so.
We should trade Jordan Love to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
There you go. If there was ever a year to get a quarterback, man, between the free agents this year, between the players available for trade this year, between the NFL draft, they completely ignored it. They signed Mason Rudolph to like a 1-year deal instead. So I would consider that a failure. Let's go into some players that we love their landing spot for. Do you have a potential target or two here?
Yeah, well, obviously I love Amari Rodgers landing with Aaron Rodgers because he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers in Week 1 next year.
Oh,
and obviously that's going to be my bias. That's going to be my bias pick, so I'm not going to go into depth. Obviously, if you have a guy like that coming into an offense like that with Aaron Rodgers, I think he automatically moves into the number 2 wide receiver like right away. Like he's going to be the second in targets if and when Aaron Rodgers is playing quarterback the position. I did text you the other night, like, it's crazy. I don't want you to do the dynasty draft until like mid-June because Amari Rodgers can go from end of first round to like 4th round based on who the starting quarterback is for him. Just straight up. Like I'm not drafting him if like the worst unexplicable thing happened and Aaron Rodgers just died. Like that's the only way he's not playing quarterback. So, yeah, I can't.
It's also the only way that our bet nullifies.
Exactly. So I couldn't imagine that. But outside of that, I'm going to go a little deeper. Not deeper. I did originally have who was it that I told you I liked? Oh, Tutu Atwell.
Yep.
Tutu Atwell, by the way, is 5'9", I believe, and weighs the same amount as me. And I love that. I weigh the same amount as an NFL player. It's great. I'm so excited about that. So it makes me think like if I worked out for about 6 months to a year, I could still be in the NFL. So that's my pipe dream.
Give it a rip.
The other guy I loved Trey Sermon's landing spot. Now I know Mikey hates him, but come now with San Francisco,
right,
in a rookie dynasty, he becomes to me is a 1st-round pick in rookie dynasty leagues. The only guy he's competing with is Raheem Mostert. To me, I don't believe in what's the other guy's name? I'm blanking on it.
I know who you're talking about. Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I don't believe in him having and like Shanahan, it's kind of like Bill Tricks. He just likes he's going to get the ball to multiple guys in that backfield. So Sermon's going to get plenty of work. They're going to try to win now. So he's going to be heavily involved. Love that landing spot. Love it. I love it. And if you're trying to win, if you're sitting in that 8 to 10 spot in a dynasty league where you were right there, you almost won a championship, and you can add Trey Sermon, you have the ability to add depth to that running back position. So Sermon, I'm looking at him if I'm like in that 8 to 10 spot range in a dynasty rookie draft. I like Sermon and the landing spot because I think what they're going to want is someone to step up and be the guy. But here's the thing. If no one steps up and is that guy, here's their depth chart. They added Wayne Gallman, just a guy.
Yep.
JaMychal Hasty, just a guy. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Trey Sermon, and they drafted Elijah Mitchell out of Louisiana Lafayette. They have so many guys. So that's what scares me. It's like, man, do you play the hot hand? Like, do you let things battle out in camp? Injuries are obviously going to happen. Maybe even one of those guys gets moved or doesn't make the team. Trey Sermon's not going to be that guy. They have too much high draft capital to just move on from him and not give him a rip. So I like what you're saying there. And I do like the fit. I think he can easily succeed there. It's a perfect offense for him to just blend in and succeed. What scares me is the depth. They've got so many guys, just dudes that can just tote the rock. And that's what the Niners did last year anyways. They just plugged in a guy every week, just a new guy. Now throw him in, see how he does.
Yep,
so that's what scares me about that.
That's what excites me about it.
Yeah, good. I've got like a tie for my favorite landing spot. I loved Terrace Marshall falling to the second round to Carolina. DJ Moore is obviously your wide receiver one. You've got Robbie Anderson. This is the last year on his deal. So you're putting a little bit of faith in Sam Darnold when you talk about Terrace Marshall. But honestly, is Robbie Anderson going to get re-signed to there after this year since you put a second rounder in Terrace Marshall? Maybe, probably not. I think Marshall's going to be that team's wide receiver too in the very near future. And man, if it wasn't for that injury report that came out, like from that Indy Combine, whatever it ended up being, where the medicals got released, this dude's probably a first rounder. And he slid to Carolina in a team that, talk about a team that had a really good draft, loved Carolina's draft. I'm stuck because I like Sam Darnold, and I think the Jets were just the ultimate curse to him. However, there were times where he had a clean pocket and he just made terrible throws. So I don't know what Sam Darnold is yet. I'm in that Sam Darnold purgatory. But Jesus, if it clicks for him and Carolina ends up being the team and you get these offensive minds that they've brought in, could be a sneaky play. The guy I have him tied with, this one flew a little bit under the radar, despite him going in the second round, which is a little bit of a shock to some people. Dwayne Eskridge from Western Michigan going to Seattle. And instantly I was like, shit, you buried him behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Don't like it all that much. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? This is a guy that's primarily going to have to play from the slot anyways. Playing at Western Michigan, he wasn't playing against the best guys. He needs to learn. He needs to grow. This is not a bad situation for him to learn and grow from, especially with Russell Wilson. Especially a team that passes the shit out of the ball. They said they were going to run the ball this more, but I won't believe that until I see it. I love Eskridge in this spot. What scares me in this spot is what happens to Russell Wilson after this year. I need him to stay there in order for my faith to remain as high as it is. Because my pre-draft scouting of Dwayne Eskridge was the dude is an RPO slant catching machine. And with Russell Wilson, that is perfect. He will just eat there when Lockett's commanding a safety and DK Metcalf is going to be facing your best defender. This is an opportunity for him. If he sees the field on some packages, he can step in and be a contributor right away for that team. So I actually really do like the landing spot. I'm an Eskridge fan.
I don't think Russell Wilson can throw the slant. I mean, so what happens?
Well, here's the deal, because he's probably going to be on his back.
Also, he's 5'10",
He's perfect for it.
Yeah, not really. It's going to be a high arcade slant. I just saw a video of Devonta Smith, and he kind of reminds me of those. You remember those Stretch Armstrong toys we had?
Like Gumby?
Yeah, but Stretch Armstrong. You could stretch his arms out and shit like that. That's what he reminds me of. He's just so long and skinny. It seems like somebody just pulled him apart. They just pulled on him, and his arms just got thinner and stretchier.
Dude. His legs are like these seltzer beers. His legs don't get much thicker than that.
It's crazy. He was in a suit and he looked like it was a tight suit. And I'm like, dude, how small is that suit? I don't think that would fit me.
It's unbelievable. And then you compare him. Did you see? Was it Myles Garrett who made one of the Browns picks and he rolled up in his suit? Me, you, and Devonta Smith all could have fit in that suit, and there would have been room for others. Awesome. The dude was jacked. No one looks that jacked in a suit. Man, busting at the seams. The thing was unbelievable.
I want to try to tackle Devonta Smith one-on-one. I think I can hurt him.
I want to have Myles Garrett tackle you one-on-one.
He wouldn't touch me. I'm too shifty. I'm too quick.
Right. Let's wrap this puppy up with talking about a player that you did not like their landing spot for.
I was specific about where I needed Chubba Hubbard to land.
I love that you're staying strong to the Chubba versus the Chuba.
Never going to change. I was very specific, and I hate Carolina. This guy's. I hate it. I hate the spot. I hate everything about it. This guy's not going to factor in to anything. Like, you think he might because, like, oh, we're going to give Christian McCaffrey breaks. He's going to be like Mike Davis. No, he's not. They're not. He's going to be off this team in 2 to 3 years and on to somewhere else. I do not like him at Carolina, which Christian McCaffrey's there forever. I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me. I hate that landing spot for him. I think he might get passed up by a running back plane. Like, I just don't even know if I'd like to thought he was going to make a team anywhere he went, or like was going to be like, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about Chubba Hubbard playing football this year in general, but I just don't like this landing spot. I don't know. I feel like he needed to like I said, this power. He needed to go to a power run. Like, if it's Ron Rivera in Carolina, maybe, but not. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good fit here.
The primary backup right now to Christian McCaffrey is Reggie Bonafan. I'm going to call him Bonafan. It seems to fit our podcast more. And I also can, side note, our boy Mikey, who contributes to Loaded Box, they have a running back named Mikey Daniel. So I find that funny because Mikey's a very unique name, but they have a Mikey. Reggie Bonafan is the primary backup right now to Christian McCaffrey. We talked about this on like our Juicy Landing Spots episode pre-draft. And I said, I want Hubbard to land in a spot where he doesn't need to be relied on as the RB1. Get me to a spot where he can maximize his ability at an RB2. And my ideal spot was the Saints. Still upset he didn't go there. But man, because I loved him behind Alvin Kamara. How do I not love him behind Christian McCaffrey? I think this is our biggest disagreement on the draft, because this is the spot, DJ.
I don't perceive him getting the carries you think he's going to get. Like, I don't think he's going to get any. And then in year 2, they're actually going to bring in someone I like, and then he's just non-existent in that offense. That's what I predict.
But here's the deal. He's going to get a fair shake. Like,
I don't think he is.
Give him a rip.
I don't think he is. I just don't think he gets involved like you think he is. Like, it's A.J. Dillon type work from this last year.
In year 1, I'm trying to look. When I pull up a lot of tabs, it's bad news. I was trying to figure out which round Chubba Hubbard ended up getting drafted in.
No, I can get that in like 2 seconds.
Well, regardless, I don't need to waste as much time on it. But no, I that's the one thing so far that I think I disagree with you on the most. I really liked round 4. Man, that's decent draft capital. DJ, there were 4 running backs taken in the first 3 rounds, or 3 in the first, 4 in the first 3 rounds, I think. Running backs got just shit on this draft. So Hubbard ended up being one of like the first guys that wasn't like your primary running back. That's decent draft capital when you're relatively thinking about it.
So if I take a look here, I can look at the running backs. He was the 7th running back taken. He got taken ahead of your guy, Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, Gainwell dropped. Let's transition right into that, because we were going to do player that you hated the landing spot for. And we talked about Devonta Smith. We talked about Rashad Bateman. I wanted Kenneth Gainwell to go somewhere with a more clear path to starting. And here he is now behind Miles Sanders. And I'm not even a Miles Sanders guy, but I think that the Eagles still are. So what's the path to Kenneth Gainwell starting? Either injury, or for some reason the Eagles go into a complete rebuild if they suck after this and they end up moving on from Miles Sanders. But I just don't see it, because at this point he's not going to command top dollar. 1, because running backs don't get top dollar, and 2, they haven't been good enough for him to be good enough to warrant top dollar. So I think you're going to have Kenny Gainwell just kind of stuck behind him, which I hate, because if you look at another former Memphis running back, you had Antonio Gibson come into Washington. It was anybody's opportunity there. And he took the reins, and now he looks like the guy for a long time. That's the type of situation I wanted Kenny Gainwell to fall into. And it didn't really happen. So I'm not completely off the Gainwell train. I think if he can come in and show out, maybe that can turn into a little bit more of a committee. But at the same time, they play a fairly similar position, him and Miles Sanders. Like there's not too much difference in like complete play style. So I struggle with that a little bit. Not happy about that one. You can either, oh yeah, I guess you already talked about your guy. So what do you think about Kenneth Gainwell?
I don't know. It's a weird spot because you talk about he kind of talked about Chubba Hubbard and having just one guy to compete with. So you've got Gainwell, and it's only or not one guy to compete with, but one star. You've got Gainwell with Miles Sanders and really no other competition outside of that. They don't. I suppose that was Doug Peterson. So it's with Doug Peterson, I might like it a little bit more because he just seemed to not want to overuse Miles Sanders and use other guys.
True.
Is that little dude still there that you love so much that didn't do anything?
Boston Scott.
Yeah, that just sucked like I told you he would.
I rode the Boston train. Boston Scott train a little too long.
Yeah, you did. You were way too high.
I was a hobo just hanging on there.
You got too excited about like 2 games he started and had that little Darren Sproles type of
it was nice.
weird thing going on. And I was like, dude, just settle the fuck down.
Here's my difference though between saying I wanted Hubbard to land in a legit RB2 role versus Gainwell. Like I think Hubbard maximizes himself as an RB2. I thought Gainwell had the ability to someday be that RB1.
I never thought that. I don't think. Maybe,
well, then it's a good spot for you.
Yeah, I always thought he was more of a like he would fit with like a Derrick Henry or something like that, where he has a certain utilization type.
Yeah, but like that's what I think. Like, so yeah, Derrick Henry would be a good complement. Yeah. But when it's Miles Sanders, who's another guy that can be used out of the backfield as a pass catcher, you kind of have
almost better doing that. Honestly,
yeah, so. They're not exact carbon copies of each other, but they're very similar in a sense.
Right.
So,
I mean, I wasn't going to draft him anywhere he went. So.
Fair enough. DJ, do you have anything else you'd like to add to today's episode?
You know what? I don't think I do.
You're gonna go upstairs and give your wife the old shaved kitten?
Oh yeah. You goddamn right. Is that what we're calling it now?
I think
I just did a spritzer on it, so she's gonna be so horny.
Yeah. Child number 2 is going to be on that other shoulder in no time.
Oh.
As always, check us out on Twitter at LoadedBox. Check out the website, loadedboxpodcast.com. Everything you need is on there. We've got draft day, first round grades and recap. I got a recap of the Miami Dolphins draft pretty soon here. We're going to have updated dynasty mock drafts for both 1 QB leagues and Superflex leagues. Everything you need is going to be found there. Our next episode, the plan is the NFL schedule is released next week. So we'll do an episode talking a little bit of early season gambling when the new over-under lines come out. So we'll do one with the AFC teams and one with the NFC teams. That's the plan as of now. We're available everywhere. Subscribe, rate, review. DJ, send us out.
Bye.